It's Friday night. It's good to see you here. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, tonight, the Electoral Commission gets the green light to re-collate results in 6 constituencies, much to the chagrin of the NDC, who hoped the court will halt the process. Tonight, we are learning what they plan to do next. Now, the Finance Minister misses another appearance appointment with Parliament to ensure the incoming government has legal backbone to spend or make money. Tonight, fresh assurances. But will they save us from a potential shutdown? Plus, 16 individuals already killed by cholera in the western region as the holidays approach. Now, experts are worried about an even bigger outbreak as they recommend holiday gathering restrictions. Tonight, all you need to know. And I am Kemeniam, and I'm glad you could make it tonight. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV3, also on 392.7 FM. If you're also watching us on Facebook, YouTube, x.com and 3news.com, ensure that you comment and interact with us with the hashtag Ghana Tonight. Let's bring you a summary of the night's biggest stories in Ghana Briefs.
Ghana faces the looming threats of a government shutdown as the absence of Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam in Parliament delays a mini budget needed to keep public services running in 2025. Parliament's adjournment to January 2, 2025 has left critical funding measures unresolved, heightening tensions and uncertainty nationwide.
In the spirit of the agreement and in the national interest, I proceed to adjourn the sittings of this meeting till the 2nd of January 2025.
The Accra High Court has ordered the Electoral Commission to recollate and declare the parliamentary results of 6 constituencies. The court, presided over by Justice Joseph Eduowu-Swajiman, also dismissed an application by the NDC seeking to restrain the electoral body from recollating results from 5 constituencies.
We have 5 MPs, all of them here, duly declared by the Electoral Commission.
Will you take part in the re-collation?
Jemensa sits in her office and says she had invalidated it. Do you know the danger if we allow this absurdity to continue? Tomorrow, a president that has been declared winner, a deputy chairperson can sit somewhere and say, no, I don't agree. Any MP, and remember, all the 5 MPs have been declared for NDC. The same Electoral Commission has not spoken about Damango because that was declared for the NPP. So clearly, this commission is up to an agenda. Let's see. You can have an order, but you can't enforce it.
The Operation Recover All Loot Committee has today received the full dossier on the National Service Ghost Name Scandal. The alleged scandal uncovered by media entities, the Fourth Estate and the Media Foundation for West Africa is estimated to have cost the country over some 500 million cedis. Chairman of the group, Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa, who announced this on his Facebook page, indicated the importance of collaboration and information sharing. The flag bearer of the Movement for Change has advised the president-elect to consider a government of unity that will reduce excessive partisanship and curb the practice of abandoned government projects. Presenting the great transformational agenda to John Mahama, Alan Martin says he is willing to avail himself in building a better Ghana. President-elect John Mahama says he is open to working with all for a better Ghana.
We are open to ideas from everywhere
I've always been a person who believes that all the sense is not in my head. And as much as possible, I try to learn from other people. And I know that a lot of thought went into this document. So we'll look at it, we'll borrow from it, we'll steal from it, we'll copy from it. Whatever is positive here, we're going to take and add to the reset agenda. And you can be sure that we'll give you credit.
Ghana brief there for you. Now let's get some work done. No mini budgets inside for government business for the first quarter of 2025 as Finance Minister for the 5th time dodges Parliament. Now, could Ghana's economy grind to a halt if no budget is passed? Now, that's a big if, but the NDC Minority Caucus in Parliament is a step ahead of that. I'll tell you more right now. Now, by the time Parliament sits again on January 2nd, 2025, the current government may be at least 24 hours in breach of the laws of this country. To simply put it, it would be spending money and making it illegally. To understand how that will happen, let's rewind to tonight. The Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has snubbed Parliament, and this is the 5th time he has failed to show up before the legislators to present what they call the mini-budgets. It may have a tiny reference, but its impact on government business cannot be overstated. And we'll get into that. But tonight, after the long wait, the legislators decided to call it and adjourn to next year. Let's take a listen to some of them.
The mini budget or the expenditure in advance of operation will be presented today. What are your expectations?
Of course, I expect that expenditure lines that would necessarily have to be taken care of within the first quarter. It's customary, it's as if it's part of protocol or feature. But there's a template, so there's no hard and fast rule about it. The figures are already known. It's about 68.5 billion. The president has already submitted, pursuant to the constitutional imperatives, it's already submitted the estimates for the judiciary and the judicial service. He's also submitted that for the audit service and submitted that for parliament and the parliamentary service, which are all now for parliament. What's outstanding is the expenditure for the generality of the public sector, which the finance minister will present later today. But the figure, as I said, is about 68 billion for the first quarter. So that's in order. It is to take care of necessary expenditures like wages of workers, as well as other expenditures to be contemplated in the new budget for 2025.
There's been a lot of delay in the coming of the finance minister. Are you almost certain that today will be the day he appears?
Well, like I said before,
expectation. So as Parliament, it behoves on us to also ensure that we approve budget for next year, the first quarter of next year. If that does not happen, it means that Ghanaians will not be paid and it will hit their homes and hit their pockets. So we have to do that. We are expecting that today that should happen before we rise. So I'm full of confidence that it will happen. Every MP here, it should be our responsibility that we make sure that happens today. The government side of business, government side will have to present their business and we have to support the budget so that we make sure that Ghanaians will be assured of their livelihood, come next year.
Well, alongside the displeasure of the delays, as far as the presentation of the mini-budget is concerned, the NDC caucus in Parliament has also made a plan. Let me give you a sneak peek at what this is all about, the assurances they are giving us as far as the future of this country is concerned. On a number of issues they raise, they say over the past several months, the minority has demonstrated, this is from the majority, and we'll come to that. I want to show our viewers right now that minority statement, which is assuring people what will be done if this mini budget is not passed before the swearing in occurs for the 9th Parliament. It says the NDC Minority Caucus in Parliament has noted the failure of the government to comply with Article 180 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to present the expenditure in advance of appropriation. It goes on to say, in the spirit of a good transition, we had expected that the outgoing president, acting pursuant to Article 180 of the Constitution, would act in good faith and bring before this House a proposal for expenditures to cater for the first quarter of 2025. Now, it also adds that this was very important because the Appropriation Act for 2025 will not come into force on the 1st of January. Sadly, President Akufo-Addo, it continues to tell us that, the president plans to leave the public services uncatered for in the first quarter of 2025. Then finally, the plan that they have for, this country, the economy, from the 7th of January. The NDC Minority Caucus would like to assure the good people of Ghana and all stakeholders that the NDC government that will take over on the 7th January of 2025 will act with dispatch to cater to the expenditure for the first quarter of 2025. They say there is no cause for alarm, even though there will be no finance minister on 7th January 2025. And pay attention to this paragraph, because that is the way they tell us, or, they tell us how they will achieve that. They say the vice president can present to this House the expenditure in advance of appropriation anytime at the swearing in on the 7th, and Parliament will be properly constituted to expedite approval of the same. Now, I'll tell you a little bit more, but in the last few hours of this night, the majority caucus in Parliament, that is the NPP side in charge of government business in the House, have also responded to the statement. And I want to show you details of that just before we move on to other matters of this multi-leg story. Over the past several months, the minority has demonstrated blatant disregard for parliamentary procedures, actively stalling numerous key matters that have been pending before the House for an unacceptably long period. Now, the statement signed by the majority caucus also goes on to say, a particularly troubling example of this reckless brinkmanship was the minority's unlawful and unprecedented takeover of the majority benches in Parliament, an action that paralyzed parliamentary business for weeks. Further evidence of the obstructionist approach is the minority's deliberate stalling of the approval process for Supreme Court Justices Professor Richard Frimpong Opong, the small, and Justice Sophia Rosetta Oduokua Benasco Esa, whose appointments are essential to the effective functioning of the judiciary. Then they bring in the issues of the outstanding bills, critical issues such as the free senior high school bill, the $250 million World Bank facility aimed at stabilizing the financial sector, and other essential legislation have been left unresolved, and they put that blame on the doorstep of the minority's persistent obstruction. Contrary to the minority's baseless claims, the government has been prepared to present and approve expenditure in advance of appropriation to ensure the uninterrupted delivery of public services in the first quarter of 2025. And then the last one. However, it is the minority's lawless and obstructionist conduct that has delayed the necessary parliamentary processes to achieve this goal. So here are two sides in Parliament, the majority, the minority, who are both telling us why this country may not have a budget from January 1st. And I want to go into that just before we move on. The minority on one hand says that, look, if we don't have this budget by the time we sit again, looking ahead into time, we will find another way around this. The majority, on the other hand, is telling us, let's blame the minority side. It is their fault because they took over our seats in Parliament. They refused to sit to approve, they refused to sit at the right places to approve outstanding bills that they considered crucial. And then they also did not approve appointments of some justices to the Supreme Court in time. The question then I ask is, what has the majority leader, who is in charge of government business, done about reaching out to the finance minister? Because that whole statement, very worded statement, clearly written, did not tell us where the finance minister is and why the finance minister has not appeared before Parliament. And the reason that is important is because along the line, the majority caucus tell us they have always been prepared to present the budget. So what's the holdup? Why is the country being held to ransom? Again, what I could glean from that statement is there is no mea culpa here. You know, they do not take cognizance of their role in what has stalled the processes up until now. They do not accept fault in this, but they go on to tell us, look, if you had done this, we would have done this by now. Is this a quid pro quo situation? Now, remember when I said it may be a mini budget, but the consequences of not having it could be dire. Yeah. Let's have a quick chat on the back of that. I want to bring in now Professor Lord Mensah, a professor of financial economics at the University of Ghana Business School. Prof, good evening to you. Let's get quickly into this one. What are the implications staring at us right now as a Ghanaian people?
As a country, government expenditure goes through, Parliament for approvals. And so, if you look at the budget process, we have what we call budget formulation. We have what we call budget, reading, budget review by the parliamentary committees, finance committee, and then the appropriation. And then after the appropriation, we have releases, and then, government can start spending as, the law demands. Now, without, the mini budget for the first quarter of the year before the administration comes in to read its full year budget, the new administration comes in to read its full year budget, we need a budget that can run for the, first quarter of the year. And within this quarter, that is when government will be able to, turn up to pay salaries. Within this quarter, that interest payments, talking about treasury bills that are even maturing within this period. Within this period, that goods and services, expenditure on goods and services may be realized. And so if you put, and then also capital expenditure, but for even capital expenditure, it's long term. So it can be, we can hold it for now. But then if you look at, something like goods and services to make government machinery operational, and then also to look at salary payment and all those, and the interest payment. It has a way of, building up, dissatisfaction in the economy, because labor, you cannot afford to say you won't pay your labor. That will go a long way to demoralize economic output, and that can, affect our, GDP, as the finance minister has been touting that we've made gains as far as the GDP numbers are concerned. And then also interest payment. We have to think about the investor confidence that we're building up as a result of, after the debt restructuring. Mm-hmm. With this delay, it will go a long way to affect, the economy. And then holistically, those outside the country who wants to bring their money into the system will also think, otherwise, because you have a country where even budgets, that is supposed to call for expenditure, it's not being, approved, or it has not been read. And then we have to look at the revenue side. Government needs to collect taxes, backed by law as approved by Parliament. And so if by 1st December, government has not approved, the budget, it has its consequence. And that means that all taxes that government will be collecting from 1st December upwards into the new year may not necessarily be,
right,
legal in legal terms. And if Ghanaians want to be litigant, they can take the government on.
Very well.
Because, government will be collecting monies that will not be backed by the law. So we needed this, budget desperately, the mini budget desperately, so that government activities can go on.
Right.
So it's more or less running bringing the country at a halt.
Indeed, Prof. What does the conduct of the Finance Ministry and the Finance Minister, really, by extension, the government, say to you?
The Finance Minister is creating economic cost, which, I mean, he needs to be charged on that, because from where I sit, keeping, government activities at a halt, it comes at economic cost. I'm talking about, the satisfaction that will come as a result of investor confidence, and then also looking at possible taxes that you will lose. Because, I mean, if someone does not pay his or his taxes, I don't think you can take him on, because you don't have any appropriation backing, the taxes that you want to collect on the revenue side. So any expenditure that will go on from 1st December, I mean, tells you that, from 1st January, from 1st January will be a wrong expenditure. It will not be backed by law. And anybody can take government on, which will also come at a cost. It will be more or less a litigation cost. So the finance minister indirectly is creating economic cost.
I see.
I mean, he needs to understand this.
And then you said we must charge him to it. What does charging him to it look like?
It's Ghana that we don't sometimes, look at some of these things. But let me tell you, as an individual, your decision and your interest, or possibly even Parliament, having, the back and forth, causing the economy, I mean, we need to, punish them for that. I mean, possibly, if it's your ex gratia that needs to be paid, we may have to relook at it, because you've created economic cost, which at the end of the day, it needs to affect your bonus, or maybe what you're supposed to enjoy after your service.
Prof, are we looking at a possible shutdown of government business? Hello, Prof.
I'm hoping that the incoming administration may act swiftly. I mean, because they are all part of the approval processes. Because if you look at, the budget process during the, review, both minority and, majority who forms the committee sits down. So they are not privy to, the country's, budget allocations and the numbers. So probably they may have to act swiftly, immediately after 7th December. But from 1st January to 7th December, sorry, 1st January to 7th January, sorry about that, we're going to have that kind of gap, which is problematic for that 7 days.
I see. So what maneuvers can the incoming government make to mitigate the impact on the economy if the situation persists, assuming that on January 2nd, we still do not have a mini budget?
Of course, we have things that are already running, and as a government, like I said, there are always spillovers. Into New Year's, and probably they may have to take advantage of possible spillovers that will come as a result of the revenue mobilization and all those. But trust me, during those periods, from the 1st January to 7th January, whatever mobilization the government will be doing will not be backed by parliament laws, which has to do with the expenditure appropriations. The finance minister needs to know the economic consequence of what the delay is going to cost us.
Very well, Prof. Thank you so much for talking. Indeed, I appreciate your time with us, Prof. Thank you so much. Professor Lord Mensah there, he is with the University of Ghana Business School. But I want us to interpret this in the face of the law, which is where this whole conversation sits right now. Again, a quick recall from that minority statement. Parliament is scheduled to sit again on January 2nd. That statement from the minority caucus looks 5 days ahead of that set time. Now, it hints of a lack of belief that this country will pass appropriations for the first quarter of 2025, essentially for the new government. The assurance then is the vice president will do the work after swearing in on January 7th. Let's put this to the test as to whether or not this will work, how it flies in the face of the law. Let me introduce now to our chat Benjamin Techi Antiedu, his lawyer, law lecturer, and author. Thank you so much for joining us here, lawyer.
My pleasure.
Oh, fantastic. Help us understand, first of all, how this whole situation is interpreted by the law. the delays, the possible shutdown ahead of us if January 2nd we don't get a mini budget?
Yes, thank you very much. I think this is a very important discussion to have at this stage. Yes, the Constitution gives the parameters on which monies can be taken from the Consolidated Fund and other public funds of Ghana to meet public expenditure. Yes, but that process must go through Parliament. And for Parliament also has its own regime for working and approving such grants. And so we cannot fault Parliament. Parliament works on consensus, so sometimes we don't achieve that. And there are some negotiations that go on. So from what we see, it's just the interplay of the law and then political bargains going on. But all is not lost, as you have said. There is a leeway if the House is to resume on the 2nd of January. Then between 2nd and the speech, the midnight of 6th of January, Parliament, I'm sure, would approve the request to spend money in advance of appropriation, so that is not lost. But even going beyond that, as was indicated earlier by the NDC minority group, it's possible that the Vice President or even the President himself, who, bring... Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Benjamin.
Yes, so it's possible and legally permissible for the President customarily to come to Parliament and make that presentation or request before Parliament for Parliament to approve that. That can easily be done. But the question is that, this affects both the incumbent government and the incoming government, because between the 1st of January and then the 6th of January, the government must still run. And it's not all about salary payments. There are so many operational expenses that have to be incurred. So even the incumbent government, how would it?
Indeed. And Benjamin, which is what I want you to tackle, right? Between January 1st and January 2nd, assuming that, the finance minister shows up and lays a budget, is passed and all that, right? So let's deal with that 24-hour period between January 1st and January 2nd. Are there any legal maneuverings for the incumbent government as far as, spending and making money on behalf of the Ghanaian people is concerned?
Yes, of course. The Parliament will still be active. Our Parliament will continue in force until the midnight of 6th January 2025. So Parliament can still approve the request in advance of appropriation. So that can be done. So that is the maneuvering that can take place, because it is only by Parliament's authorization that withdrawals can be made. So Parliament has to act either before the expiry of the incumbent administration or at the earliest time, after the assumption of the new administration. So in all cases, everything rests on Parliament, whether this Parliament or the incoming one.
I see. Which leaves us then with January 1st, because, I don't want us to think beyond January 2nd, keeping a constant that perhaps the finance minister will show up and this budget will be passed. So let's take with January 1st, right, which is when we know Parliament isn't sitting and there is no appropriations bill in place for the government to, a legal backbone for the government to spend, right? So within that period, government spending, making money is illegal. How exposed is the government as far as the legal framework is concerned?
Yes, rightly so. Your concern is well appreciated. But the point is that the incumbent government can still spend in respect of expenses for that period. I mean, between 1st and the 2nd. You can still, monies have been approved by Parliament to be spent ending 31st December 2024. So if you know that you have some commitments, let's say on the 1st and 2nd of January, then you can take steps to make such payments, before you get there. So that can be achieved, because I'm sure that we will not be in a position to spend every money that has already been approved for use this year. So that will not be a problem at all. But the challenge will be between, let's say, the 2nd and then the 6th, the midnight of 6th of January, because that is where, recurrent expenditure cannot be made. So what happens to our security services? What happens to, day-to-day operational expenses? That is where the gap is, and that is what we are hoping, that our parliament will rise to the occasion. When challenges come, that is why how we see strong institutions functioning, and we expect that our parliament will rise to the occasion. Yes, challenges come by political bargains. The U.S., they keep on shutting government down and all that. But luckily, we will not get there, because whether the new administration comes before the step is taken, we can still work to meet salary and other governmental expenditure by the end of January 2025.
Indeed. So Benjamin, is it the case that perhaps this situation is not as bad, as dire, as consequential as, some of us would like to think?
Not at all. Not at all.
Indeed.
The fear is that, certain operational expenses may be problematic at the very beginning of next year, but even that we can make some, expenditure towards that. Then immediately we'll call on Parliament to act, so that if there will be some operational expenditure difficulties, that can be solved.
Very well, Benjamin, thank you so much for your time. Benjamin Tiedu is a lawyer, law lecturer, and author. We've been talking about the delay in presenting the mini budget to Parliament. The Finance Minister, for the 5th time, has failed to appear. Our understanding is that, on January 2nd, Parliament will sit again. Hopefully, that presentation is done. But we've also been hearing from the minority and majority caucuses in Parliament. We'll not go over that. Let's turn attention to something else. The elections, because the Electoral Commission gets green light to proceed with re-collation efforts. Please detail security arrangements for the exercise. Tonight, the NDC's next move coming up right now. Tonight is a go for the Electoral Commission to recollate and declare election results of 6 constituencies. Both the NPP and the NDC took the matter to court at different times, seeking opposite reliefs. The NPP sought for the court to empower the EC to recollate the outstanding constituencies, while the NDC asked the court to prevent the EC from doing the same. And I want to show you which constituencies are involved, because we know that the contested constituencies include Dom Kwabenya, a contest between Elik Plim, Faustina Akurugu, and Michael Aaron Okwe Jr. We also know of Okankwe Central, a contest between the incumbent Patrick Yabuama and Abdullahi Abu Baba Abubakar Sadiq. Then there's also the contest in Ablekuma North, where Irabna Obin was declared the winner of that race. Nanekia of a free year of the NPP will have another chance if we go by what the the High Court has ordered. Then there is a Tema Central contest. A.B. Bright, winner of that contest, will have to go through the process of recollation again against Charles Forson of the NPP. So these are the 4. Then there's Obuasi East, where Samuel Abuaje, declared winner of that contest, will go through the process again with Patrick Abuaje Yiadom. So that's Obuasi East as well. Now, while the NPP case was upheld, the NDC's in an Accra High Court was determined that the declarations were indeed made under duress and could not be upheld. This was after the judge declined requests by the NDC to present evidence of EC officials during declarations. Here's a clip of how parties to the case reacted.
I have 5 MPs, all of them here, duly declared by the Electoral Commission. Take part in the re-collation. Jemensa sits in her office and says she had invalidated it. Do you know the danger if we allow this absurdity to continue. Tomorrow, a president that has been declared winner, a deputy chairperson can sit somewhere and say, no, I don't agree. Any MP, and remember, all the 5 MPs have been declared for NDC. The same electoral commission has not spoken about Damango because that was declared for the NPP. So clearly, this commission is up to an agenda. Let's see. You can have an order, but you can't enforce it.
Member of Parliament for Nsawama Dwajiri, Frank Anodompre, said he was patiently waiting for the outcome.
The court did its job. I anticipated it and it happened. So, glory be to God. But it's not done yet. We are going for the collation and declaration. Yes, of course. We also have done our work. Internally, we have collated the results that we know we won. That's why we're patient. So we are just waiting for the processes to begin. We pray that they do it as soon as possible. I can't wait to be in Parliament.
Lord Idwasari.
Well, listen, I know you saw the Nsawama Dwajiri MP, the incumbent, Anodompre. The reason that was not included in the other 5 is because in the Nsawama Dwajiri case, no declaration happened. It's just a contested election. Both sides are laying claim to winning the election. No clear collation was done. No clear declaration was done. However, the matter was taken to court as well. We know it will be one of those outstanding 9 constituencies to be looked at again for a proper collation. So that won't be a re-collation. That will be a collation of the results there. We'll keep an eye on events there. But let's stay on the subject matter of today, because the court also ordered the Inspector General of Police to provide adequate security measures during the re-collation and declaration of results by the Electoral Commission. Now, the police, they've been acting swiftly.
The National Election Security Task Force and the Electoral Commission on 19th December 2024 held a meeting at the National Police Headquarters, Accra, to discuss issues pertaining to the outstanding collations in some constituencies. At this meeting, the Electoral Commission informed the task force of their preparedness to proceed with the outstanding collations and requested the task force to provide the needed security. The task force assured the Electoral Commission of its readiness to provide the needed security for the outstanding collations. In addition, the Commission reminded the task force that during the collation, only individuals accredited by the Commission should be allowed access to the collation centers. In this regard, there will be a joint police and military deployment for the exercise. We wish to caution the public that non-accredited persons will not be permitted at the centers. Also, the task force would like to urge the political parties to refrain from inciting their supporters to mass up at the collation centers to disrupt the process. We wish to state that throughout the election period, including this post-election phase, the National Election Security Task Force has put Ghana first. We have put the peace and security of the country first, and we will continue to do so. We therefore invite the good people of our beloved country, including all stakeholders in this election, to work with us in this endeavor. Thank you very much.
So what you heard are police plans on how to ensure law and order is enforced when that re-collation, declaration dates and venues are set. Key things you should take note of. Only accredited people will be allowed into the centers. They have also advised, urged and appealed, however you want to look at it, to political parties to ensure that their supporters do not amass at the venue for the collation. And I want you to take note of that because, you know, there is the tendency that you may be encouraged to do so. No political parties should urge you to go and do that. That is one. There's also going to be military deployments. Perhaps we'll have a bit more on that. They say the military will be part of this. Remember that at the beginning of the elections, the police had made mention, particularly the IGP, that when need be, the military will be involved in this. It would appear that we've got to that point, and so the military will be deployed to this re-collation, declaration venue or venues, however the Electoral Commission plans to go with it. But here's the thing. The tact required in handling this matter is not lost on any political watcher. Security experts like retired Colonel Festus Abuaje, he's been telling us what he thinks should be done to curb an explosion of tempests. Take a listen.
If the requisite forms, the pink sheets from the ballot stations, the pink sheets from the ballot stations are available in their original form, then that collation or re-collation will be possible. We have seen a narrative where, even where both parties have said they have the pink sheets, it does appear that some of the pink sheets are not the original pink sheets, whether they are the duplicate, triplicates, or whatever, you know, they are. There's need for some forensic investigation of the pink sheets. That must be done before the collation. If there is no law which stops the population from, you know, observing the collation, the EC should not play semantics by suggesting that they were coming to besiege. They were not coming to besiege. They were coming to observe the process. So the Election Security Management Task Force should have created a certain perimeter, a cordon, and said, okay, if you are coming to observe, you stay at my arm's length. And I will still argue that anybody who wants to observe these collations must be able to go and observe, not behind the EC officials, breathing down their necks. But the security forces must provide a certain cordon and allow the population to be there. You, the EC, are supposed to be independent. The executive president that you are inviting is a party to, or his party is a party to this issue. But he is not supposed to be part of the electoral process. So how do you invite him to intervene? The incoming president-elect hasn't got any legal powers whatsoever. If it means calling on their followers, the president-elect has done that. The vice president, who was the running mate, the flag bearer of the MPP, has also done that. Asking the president to come in and intervene without explaining what she meant by intervention, in fact, it could amount to treason or sabotage.
I'll bring in now Dr. Victor Doke on the back of this conversation. Doc, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. Let's look at the situation from the point of view of security. Listen, we know that the police have only urged people, unaccredited people, to stay away. But there is no denying that the political parties will and their supporters really would like to go to these venues as well. How should the police, you know, tread as far as these lines are concerned?
Well, thank you, Kevin. Can you hear me though?
I can hear you, yes.
Right. Okay. So I think now, rest assured, the Election Security Task Force will take precautionary measures, and that they would cordon off the area for the re-collation. So you would sure to see an advanced barricade even before the supporters will get there. There's an advanced barricade which will not even allow that the supporters should go or can have access in them. But however, you would likely see the supporters of these, constituencies that I've mentioned come there. That you cannot do away with. So it's just about increasing the numbers of the police and then barricading the place and then ensuring that they have a way of de-escalating the tensions that would arise with this re-collation.
I see. Are you suggesting that perhaps the police should create a parameter beyond which
they should
supporters cannot go?
If they have not created or thought about creating a parameter, then you would have the supporters having access to the area. And even if anything should happen with regards to the declaration, which goes against the NDCs, then you are sure to have some chaos there. So it would be wise on their part to create a parameter where the supporters will not even have access to the inner core perimeter of the coalition center.
And again, listen, we know that the NDC, they are already riling up their support base to throng these coalition venue or venues. Obviously, this will not be a question about right or it's not their right. However, what I want to find out from you is whether or not this will be a necessary move at all.
Well, we all know the law under which we operate with regards to association, freedom of association, freedom of participation and all that. I don't think, or correct me if I'm wrong, there's a law that bars people from access to an area. Only that when you cordon off an area so that security is paramount, then that is it. But to say you are putting a law out or there's a law that limits people from having access to a certain area, there isn't. So I think it is in their right for them to assemble, lawful assemble, and then adhere to the rules with regards to assembling. Okay? Anything contrary to that, then you would have the law, the security services, clash with the supporters. But we should take this thing very, cautiously, because with all these constituencies that have been mentioned, we saw the agitations, we saw how the youth went on rampage and all of that. So we should be very careful with regards to, the re-collation, the safety of the officers and everybody, and then barricading the place, and then for the process to go on.
Doc, one of the things we saw in the previous exercise is the level of tension, the excess inactivity within the collation center itself. What would be your advice on how the security operatives present there should manage the situation?
Neutrality and independence. Now, we all know the allegations and assumptions with regards to already what has been stated when the IGP announced that the military will be called in to support. Well, some of us have, different opinions to that. With regards to this exercise, re-collation and how the police cannot handle it alone brings a lot of questions, because some of us see this military, cooperation as not really needed. Now, with regards to your question, mainly, it is about how the security services will stay very neutral, because they are just going to ensure safety, protect the lives and property, devoid of engaging in the re-collation or any attempt that is seen to be assisting, the incumbent against opposition, that is the incoming government. Then you would have cause for more allegations. Allegations will lead to tensions, agitations, and then violence.
Indeed, and that's how dire the situation could get if this is not handled wisely, isn't it?
Kemeni, if it is not handled wisely, if the security services do not put in place an emergency response mechanism to deal with the supporters that will throng the area, then you are likely to have clashes in there.
Doc, I appreciate you talking to us. Thank you so much. Dr. Victor Doke is a security expert. We've been looking at security arrangements, security, insights into how to manage the re-collation exercises to take place. We don't know when, we don't know where, but with the High Court green light, perhaps it could happen. But we also know that the NDC, in the last few hours of the night, had said they will go to the Supreme Court to seek redress. Take a listen. Oh, perhaps when we come back, I'll show you that, because counsel for the NDC has been talking about how they will go to the Supreme Court to seek redress. Let's see that when I come back. Don't go away.
World of entertainment with DSTV.
We've entered a new era. Welcome.
Some of the boys think you are legends.
So cool. Your music, it's incredible.
I mean, everything is going exactly the way we dreamt it would go.
It's not enough to be good. We need to be different.
That's where I come in.
Have you been good the last year?
Oh my goodness! I can talk! Baby powder! It's all about family.
You want to shoot first?
After you.
I can see the future. Shouldn't see that coming.
This is just so exciting. Add a little more this festive with DSTV, your home of entertainment.
This is the reason why I love Ghana.
Then the luxury aquarium painted here. Yenim se Ghana and Nadim Kunim.
We are one. Ghana as one.
We are proud about Ghana. Sabaya 2 years nano. Akos asundem ayen share how we are.
Africa and the rest of the world salute Ghana.
Don't forget the luxury aquarium paint. Send love. Love to all Ghanaians. The luxury aquarium paint.
Holiday season, let your home be the heart of the celebration. Celebrate the season with furniture that feels like home. Christmas Super Sale. Get up to 50% discount on all products at Danube Home. Create memories in every room. Visit Danube Home to make your holiday home complete.
Through every step of life's unpredictable journey, every moment counts. That's why you need a partner you can always trust for solutions, so you can be rest assured. Having impacted over 200,000 lives, processed over 4.2 million claims, partnered with over 400 corporations, paid out over 836 million Ghana cedis in claims, contracted over 1,600 healthcare facilities nationwide, and pioneered several innovations like free medicine delivery, an interactive mobile app, and more. You'll be surprised what can be accomplished in 20 years. We're part of the Nationwide family. Are you? Nationwide Medical Insurance. 20 years of leading the way.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chese na me ankasa me period na se problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chese na nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me mogya mu no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na me kwan mu a eba head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama no nura ene ne ho idea wotumi asori anante.
That's end point for you.
Hello.
Hey,
ohwehwe what che?
Okay.
A free bra wo di end point wa dance. Ah me call you no. Me Johnson sema na enkoyie en person na my emre nyina na magina sebema na me no be fie for there e ho na nyina jaresa.
You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
1 packet of flamingo pain
is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Now free in a bar, ha? Who feel about the now better, better. Samsung Galaxy. Who better TV, yay! Franco see and chow no man. The Franco see a mobile phone. Near mouth, papa, the phone. Near mouth t-shirt and come. And son a wow phone in it. Yay! I did our catcher Franco, can we check Franco? Made a Franco for us. May encourage you via our energy so better be via the share socket. Be and TV phone. Be via the share socket.
Unwrap a world of entertainment with DSTV.
We've entered a new era. Welcome.
Some of the boys think you are legends.
So cool. Your music, it's incredible.
I mean, everything is going exactly the way we dreamt it would go.
It's not enough to be good, we need to be different.
That's where I come in.
Have you been good the last year?
Oh my goodness! I can talk! Baby powder! It's all about family.
You want to shoot first?
After you.
I can see the future. Shouldn't see that coming.
This is just so exciting.
Add a little more this festive with DSTV, your home of entertainment.
Through every step of life's unpredictable journey, every moment counts. That's why you need a partner you can always trust for solutions, so you can be rest assured. Having impacted over 200,000 lives, processed over 4.2 million claims, partnered with over 400 corporations, paid out over 836 million Ghana cedis in claims, contracted over 1,600 healthcare facilities nationwide, and pioneered several innovations like free medicine delivery, an interactive mobile app, and more. You'll be surprised what can be accomplished in 20 years. We're part of the Nationwide family. Are you? Nationwide Medical Insurance, 20 years of leading the way.
Welcome back. Happy to know you're still here with us on Ghana Tonight. Listen, I was telling you that the NDC now is looking to go to the Apex Court to have this matter around the re-collation of these 656 constituencies. And let's take a listen to Eduji Tamaklo, who is a member of the legal team of the NDC, telling News 360 that the Supreme Court may be the next step.
If your reporter was in court, you would have informed you what happened in court today. Clearly what happened in court today. There's no way we would accept it. So we have decided to approach the Supreme Court, and we have filed the appropriate processes at the Supreme Court this late afternoon. And the process has been duly served on the Inspector General of Police. So we'll take it out from there.
Oh, listen, so there it is. If re-collation dates and venues are known, we already know that both sides of the divide, the NDC and NPP, are riling up support base to ensure that the right things are done. Remember that we've talked about the perimeters involved. Perhaps the security operatives will do that. It's your right, yes, but listen, we're encouraging you to keep the peace in this country. Also, around the corner is the Christmas holidays. In the Western region, this could be a very tricky situation because 16 people have died from a cholera outbreak there. We know that this is despite authorities assuring the outbreak is under control. But serious concerns are now being raised with the holidays just around the corner. Mass vaccination over there ended on Thursday. This vaccination exercise was targeted at the 4 metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies severely affected by cholera. Experts are now calling for measures to check holiday gatherings and movements to prevent an even bigger outbreak, which is why you should take good care of yourself. Especially over the holidays. While you do that, remember that tomorrow at 7 a.m. right here on TV3, Alfred Okanse and his team of panel members will be here to discuss some of the big issues that have popped up this week. I'm very positive the issues around the elections will be part of it. We'll also look at, the other issues that we've seen tonight. Mind is completely blocked. Anyway, I have to go now. I'll see you on Sunday at 2 p.m. on Hot Issues. Do have yourself a very, very pleasant night, an even better weekend. I'm Kemeni Amano. This is Ghana Tonight. Thanks for your company on TV3, on 392.7 FM, and wherever you watch us from. Bye-bye.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.